Buying garden centre material like this Fuji Cherry or Kojo no Mai is one of the best ways that you can start bonsai at home. Keep watching this video to see how I start this garden centre material on its bonsai journey. So I bought this Fuji Cherry or Kojo no Mai tree from my local garden centre for £18 in the reduced section. Now these Fuji cherries make great bonsai trees because, as you can see, they get these little white and pinkish colour flowers in the spring, which are now starting to drop. So you can imagine that when this is quite a small tree with little branches and it's covered in those flowers, they look really, really nice. So for me in my garden at the moment, you can see that there's only a few of these little flowers left on it, which makes now a good time to start cutting it back and get it into some better soil and in a nicer pot, ready to start developing this garden centre material as a bonsai tree. So the plan today is to take this tree that at the minute just looks like a bit of a shrub. We're going to decide which branches we want to cut back and what we want to keep. We're going to take it out of its pot, change the soil, see what we're working with in terms of the roots, and yeah, we'll start this on its bonsai journey. So let's get it out of its pot and we'll start doing the work. So what I'm initially going to do is literally just take this tree out of the pot that it's in. And as you can see, it's got some nice healthy roots on it, which is a good sign. And the initial work that we're going to do on it is basically just taking away this top layer of soil so that we can see where the roots start, and then we can start deciding what branches we want to take away and what we want to keep. So what you can use to do this is a root hook like this one. If you don't have one of these, then you can also use a chopstick. Either one works, so whatever you've got available to you. So what I'm going to do is literally just start taking away the top layer of soil, starting from the centre of the trunk and moving outwards, just so that we don't tear across all of the roots and break those fine feeder roots at the top, which we're going to want to keep. So basically just make our way around the top of the soil, and we're going to try and get rid of as much of this old soil as possible, but just down to the level where we can see the top roots so that we know where the base of the trunk is going to start. When I'm doing this, I'm being quite firm around the edges because this sort of area would likely not to keep all of the roots anyway, like this big root here. But when you get in near the centre of the trunk, if you're just a little bit more gentle, because those are the roots that we're really going to want to keep onto the tree and keep healthy. So I'm also just coming in with my scissors and just taking out some of this heavier top stuff that we know that we're not going to need, just to make it a little bit easier, so that when we're digging away the soil and trying to find that top layer of roots, it speeds it up for us a little bit. You can now see that I've started to get down to the base of the trunk where the first set of roots are emerging from the trunk, and this is where our nabari and the base of our tree is going to start. So the aim of this first step is just to uncover that base, and from there we can start doing a bit of styling on the top and decide what to get rid of, what to keep. And for now we're going to leave the rest of the roots as they are, just because as they're more compact in a ball like this, they'll stay more damp rather than exposing them to air and wind. So a good tip whilst you're working on your trees and you've got the roots exposed is to have a squirty bottle full of water, just so that I can spray these up just to keep them moist whilst we're working on the top and the rest of the tree. That way they don't dry out, because if they dry out, they're probably going to die. So it's a good idea to keep these quite moist, just to try and prevent them dying back. Now that we've exposed the top layer of roots, we can see where the base of our tree is going to start, and we can try and decide what sort of front to the tree that we're going to have and what branches we want to keep, what we don't want to keep. For now, I feel like the best front to this tree might actually be the front that you're looking at now. So the base will be here, it comes up, and then we'll potentially use just this branch as the main leader of our tree and the start of our bonsai, because it gives it a nice shape and a bit of movement, and there's plenty of buds along here which are going to swell to create branches from. So with the front of the tree being here, and we know that we're probably going to come up this way, a lot of this stuff at the top is not needed anymore. So I'm likely just going to start by chopping it back sort of to this height and get rid of everything above there, because this top section of the tree is never going to be needed in our future design. and it's what's causing it to look quite a lot like a shrub now. So just coming in with the branch cutters, I'm literally just going to chop these branches off and get rid of them. So with a lot of these branches now gone, you can see that we've already taken this back and it's starting to look quite a lot smaller and a lot more compact, which helps us to make a bit more of a convincing looking tree, because with it being tall and slim, it just looks like an overgrown shrub. So now that we've decided where the front of the tree is and we've taken back a lot of the growth at the top, we can now decide which one of these main branches in the middle that we want to keep to start progressing the tree onto its bonsai journey. So you might be able to see the nice sort of shape that we've got up the front here, and I feel like this one on the left gives us the best transition from thicker up to a smaller top trunk, and we can start developing the top of it and the branches from there. These two in the middle here, I'm not sure if you can see, but they're actually starting to fuse together. So in all reality, these two branches are never actually going to work. So unless I want to keep one of these to try and thicken up the bottom of the trunk, then both of these can actually go. I'm going to leave a bit of room between where I'm cutting and the main trunk, because if this ends up dying back a little bit, it will die back above where we want to keep, and then we can get rid of that in a couple of years' time and make it look a lot nicer. So this branch on the right here is eventually going to go as well, because it forms part of this one here. But for now, just to keep a bit of green on it, I'm just going to take it back to here, let that grow out a little bit, and that will help the roots redevelop when we start taking some of those back as well. This branch is probably going to be pointing straight towards us if we do have this as the front of the tree. So for now, I'm just going to take that back as well. At the top here, I'm also just going to take this big one back. Okay, and now I can allow this one to grow as the leader of the tree, and this will help thicken up everything below it, and eventually we'll be coming right back probably into here to create a small shohin sized bonsai tree. Now onto the roots. So as I did with the top, I'm going to come along, get rid of all of this stuff. There's quite a thick bunch of roots here, so I'm not too worried about tearing a few of those out, but I don't want to be really stabbing at it. Just with light pressure, come in and we'll get rid of as much of this soil as possible. I'm just carrying on working away at the roots here, taking away the old soil, snipping back some of the thicker, heavier roots to try and make this root ball a bit more suitable for this tree as a bonsai. And as you can see, I ended up washing these roots out, and this was what we were left with. This is as far as I wanted to take the roots on this one, just to give it a chance to recover. I'm also planting this one into a pond baskets and free draining soil to make sure that there's plenty of aeration and good drainage for these roots. The tree was then securely tied into the pot, as you can see, and I then tidied up the wire and began filling up the pot with the rest of the soil. Now this substrate that I'm using is a mix of moulder clay and pumice to provide good aeration and good drainage whilst also keeping the roots moist. So as you can see, I was just putting the soil in and working this in with a chopstick to make sure that all of the substrate was in between all of the roots, and a few little tidy ups on the top, and this tree was then ready to be watered. On the first watering, you want to make sure that you properly drench the roots and get rid of any dust that's left in that substrate. So it's now currently the 7th of June, and as you can see, this tree is doing really well after the work that we did on it earlier this year. It's grown really healthily with a little bit of fertiliser and good watering, and now that it's in the better soil, it's really started to push out quite well. So in the initial work that we did on this tree, our aim was to keep a few sacrifice branches and to try and fill out the bottom of the tree, and as you can see, we've got a lot of growth lower down in here which we're going to be able to use in the design. Now, as you might be able to tell, obviously this doesn't quite look like a finished bonsai tree, and that's because it's not. Our goal initially with this tree was to set up the basic structure with the main trunk and get the roots nice and healthy, and now we can start using these branches that are formed lower down to start creating our bonsai tree. For this year, I'm going to leave a lot of the top growth on there just to get the health back into the roots. But later on this year, I'll probably take some of these branches back at the top. I'm also going to start removing some of this growth up here that we know that we're not going to need, because this branch was just on as a sacrifice leader, and that way it stops light being shaded out and it helps these branches that are lower down really carry on pushing on. However, I am going to leave that for another video, as this first video is just the initial setup of how to get your tree started on its bonsai journey. This tree is actually going to be in a number of videos, so you're going to be able to follow its journey and see its progress towards a bonsai tree. But for this video, this is where I'm going to leave it. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, because like this tree, I've got quite a few projects on the go at the minute which I'm planning to release over the next year or two, so it'd be good to stick around for that. But if not, then I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep watching this video to see how I turn this garden centre material into Keep watching this video to see how I take this garden centre to Keep watching this video to see how I start this garden